Today we're going to be talking about my 2019 GMC Terrain. And I'm going to be giving you guys my full 3-year and 90,000 mile review. Everything that has actually gone wrong with it, everything that I like about it, and everything that I don't in this next video. So make sure you guys stick around to the end because you're going to get all that. And maybe why you should consider buying one yourself. This was my company car at my main job for the past 3 years. They give us a new company car every couple of years or whenever you get a certain amount of miles on it, and then you have an opportunity to buy the car. So I didn't ever do a video on the car because I didn't technically own it, but now I have since purchased it. This specific model is the SLT, but it has the 1.5 liter that makes only 170 horsepower. It redlines at 5,500 RPM, and in terms of power and speed, you're really not going to get that in this car. Comparatively to some of the other cars that you see on my channel, this car is not very fast at all. However, I did average through 90,000 miles, about 27 miles to the gallon, both city and highway. And on the highway, it definitely got over 30 miles per gallon, but I never got less than 22 driving around town. So it's pretty decent gas mileage for what it is. It also has automatic start-stop, which helps when you're at lights. Exterior-wise, this car has been fabulous. It's taking a beating through 3 full years of winter, snow, and ice. The car never stayed in the garage. It was always outside because I keep my other stuff in the garage. I probably replaced the tires twice. In 90,000 miles, I've only ever had to replace the battery 1 time, and that was it. So mechanically speaking, 90,000 miles of long wear and tear on this thing, it has held up phenomenally. So in terms of reliability, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 because only having to replace a battery and a CV axle in 90,000 miles, to me, is pretty darn good. And I drive the car pretty hard, so probably taking on ramps and off ramps a little harder than the normal person might take in this thing. So maybe that's why why the axle went. One of the features that people don't really talk about with some of these cars is one of the things I love the most. This actually has an automatic liftgate on it. And what's great about this is, especially like if you're in a garage or you're in a tight spot, you can actually adjust how high this goes. So if you know that you're gonna hit something, you can actually make it so that the liftgate only goes this high and it's adjustable inside the car. Cargo wise, it's got a ton of space. I fit tons of stuff in the back of this thing. It has a cargo privacy, which is great. It also comes out, it came with nets, and then underneath this, extra storage, and I put a bunch of like extra car cleaning supplies down there, and then underneath that actually is where your spare is. And I actually did use the spare one time. I got a flat tire and I had to get somewhere. It really wasn't that hard to change either. There are 2 levers over here that'll fold both of the seats down, but you can also fold the seats down from there as well. And even back here, there's a cigarette lighter port. I did love that this had split folding seats, and I also have 2 kids, so putting car seats was easy to do in and out of this because you have the latch system on both sides. Your cup holder thing folds down here. This easily fits 2 passengers back here with ease, no problem. But one of the things that I really like about it is you can lock this in so it sits upright, but this actually can recline a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, which can give you just that little extra comfort when you're riding in it. And both of the seats fold down completely, 60-40 split. You can fit a lot of stuff into the back of this thing. It's not a full-size SUV. You're not going to fit as much stuff as a Tahoe, but you can fit a lot of things back here. Not only does the rear have cup holders in the middle, but you also get cup holders here. There are 2 USB charging stations, as well as an actual plug that was down there too for a 110 outlet, which I loved. This car also came with vents. That kind of rounds out the interior of the back. I chose to get this brown saddle interior on black with the stitching. I think it's great. It's one of my favorite color combinations you can get for a car, and it actually was one of the options that I was able to get when I ordered the car up. Now, I spent a ton of time in this car, so I know everything about this thing inside and out. There's some things that I really like about it and some things that I don't. One of the things that I don't like about it is the transmission shifter thing here. If you want to like manually change gears, first off, it's not on the paddles, so that kind of sucked. The gear shifters being down here are kind of weird to get used to. After a while, it really became easy for me to shift with it. This has heated seats on driver and passenger side, hill descent mode, and you can switch between 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive just by flicking this here, and it doesn't matter what speed you're on. And it also has mountain mode, which I never really used. Down below, you got extra storage, more cup holders, and storage back here. You have 2 charging ports underneath the center console, as well as 2 up front and an auxiliary jack in there, and a cigarette lighter down below here. Climate control is really easy to see. You can get these with navigation as well as Apple CarPlay. This has both, so you could actually use navigation or Apple CarPlay. Wi-Fi hotspot. The only quirk that I saw with it was, I mean, like I said, I put 90,000 miles on it. Every now and then the navigation wouldn't work and I'd have to turn the car off, and there's a port here for the SD card. Sometimes I would have to pop it out and pop it back in and it would reload. I might have had to do that 5 or 6 times in 90,000 miles of driving in 3 years. So it really wasn't that bad. And it only seemed to happen when it was really, really cold out. I don't know what it is. Steering wheel controls are great. You can answer and hang up phone calls without taking your hands off the steering wheel. This also has a heated steering wheel, which is great for me because I live in the Northeast. Extra storage and cargo here. The dashboard and everything inside of this thing has held up really well, even though this thing saw a lot of elements and a lot of sun exposure and a lot of heat. You think a 90,000 mile car that sat outside for that long would get sun faded in some spots, but the materials that they use inside of this thing were really, really good. A lot of the stuff, I like to joke, is the new Corvette has a lot of similar buttons and stuff as this car. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the SD card slot is right down there. And these are your, like I said, your auxiliary ports, heated seats, and 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive changeability there. Gear shifters, climate control, dual zone, and you can sync it up. And then you have this here, steering wheel controls, nice and easy. Hang up, this controls that there. So a couple of things I really love about this car was the fuel economy that it got, the styling. The headlights on this thing are awesome. They really light up the road well. They look really cool. Someone else is looking at you. And the body lines of it are really good on the hood, back and the sides. It really just kind of brings the whole thing together. It makes it feel like you're driving in like a smaller Yukon, it felt like, the way that it looks. So a lot of the styling cues carry over to their bigger models, which I really like that in this. The other thing I liked was the convertibility of the inside, 60/40 split folding seats. It had a lot of cargo room. The seats were really comfortable. I mean, for me having to spend 4 to 5 hours a day in this thing, 5 days a week, these seats were really comfortable no matter how long I was in the car for, which is really, really big feature for me because you just don't want them to be, if you're spending 5 hours a day in a car and the seats aren't comfortable, you're not gonna like the car at all. The 2 things I really disliked about this car though was its power. It really was kind of slow getting around things in traffic. If it had like 30 more horsepower, it probably would be a completely different car, which I think you can do if you put a tune in it, but I didn't do that because it's a factory car and we're not allowed to do that kind of stuff like I do my other stuff. Hi, Stella.
What are you doing?
I'm making a YouTube video. The only other thing I didn't like about the car is that the gas tank is only 13 gallons, which makes you think, oh, it doesn't take that much to fill it up, but I'm filling it up all the time. I had to fill it up all the time. The most I ever got out of a full tank was 355 miles, and I was babying the crap out of it and driving it downhill on the highway in a lot of cases. A lot of times just driving around town, I wouldn't even get over 300 miles in a tank, which was kind of annoying. If it had a 15-gallon tank, it would be that much better. So those are my only 2 things that I really didn't like about the car. Everything else, if I could have the same exact car again for a company car, I would take it in a heartbeat because it was that good. If you guys want to see more car reviews like this, let me know in the comments below. I'm always down to try new stuff out. If you're interested in other types of cars, I have so many videos that I make on my YouTube channel of building them, racing them, breaking them, and repeating that process over and over again. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, check out these videos that I already have ready to go.